That started. There we go. So just for the folks who didn't hear my spiel, this is my profile here. And today we're going to just discuss and explore together what came out in 5.9 in terms of new features. We're also going to explore what's coming in 6.0 in terms of features. And we're going to do this in a sort of, here's some information in these slides, but also we can play around in my local sandbox environment if folks have any questions or things that they want to see. And throughout this whole session, this is our social learning space. So feel free to unmute yourself to ask questions inside of the chat. And if you know an answer that maybe I can't come up with on the spot, please share your knowledge. I am always willing and ready to be humbled and learn something new. And in case folks didn't know, this is a cross-posted event from BlackPress as well to the social learning space. And I'll share a bit more about that at the end, but I just wanted you to know that you're in mixed company of awesome WordPressers from all around the world. Okay, so jumping into this to start, I asked the question in the meetup space, what did you all enjoy the most about WordPress 5.9? And I just wanted to share with you some of the answers that came up in the meetup event. So full site editing, of course, I'm glad folks are happy about that. Having more blocks at your disposal, the query loop, the 2022 theme, which gave us full site editing in the WordPress core release, and then pattern directory and typography editing improvements. Were there any other 5.9 features that folks maybe get to answer the prompt but wanted to give a shout out to? And you can do this either verbally or in the chat. Well, that's okay. Oh, template parts, there we go. Thank you, Jean. Yeah, template parts are really nice. They really help you get up and running faster. All right, yeah. Using theme.json more regularly. And supportive of learning. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Elisa, that WordPress has been more supportive of learning. Sarah's happy that folks are getting more excited with the site editor. I agree, that was probably very intimidating at first. Okay. Well, then it looks like we hit most of the boxes, honestly, with the things that folks were most excited about. But I did want to kind of share a recap of what did, like the highlights of what got added. So what wasn't mentioned by folks were the navigation block, which has been improving as well with these new updates. Typography was mentioned, block patterns, the revamped list view, which I think is a real MVP of editing your site or your page or post. And then the updated gallery block as well to help you display images more flexibly. And so in this space, we can definitely, are there any 5.9 features that folks are like, hey, actually, I haven't seen it yet. Do you want to, can we play around with this? Otherwise, I'm sure looking at what's in 6.0 via the new 5.9.3 beta and exploring that could very well take up this whole this whole session. But I do want to leave space for folks that are like, yeah, Meg's like, no, 6.0. Yeah, Michael too. You're like, look back. Okay, we're already done with that look back. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Okay, well, unless they're onward, okay. I think we have a quorum then. Then let's go onward. And of course, if there's some folks that come back later and they're like, hey, actually, I did want to look at this feature, even though it's released in 5.9, we can definitely just stop and look at that as well. So moving onward, talking about what folks are interested in for 6.0. Things that were shared were co-authoring, selecting partial text across blocks, and also locking blocks. I only received 3 answers, but I'm pretty sure there are other things that folks are excited about for the 6.0 release. So I'd like to invite you all again to either say verbally or write in the chat any other 6.0 feature. Typography updates. Seeing improvements to the query loop. Okay, those are some good ones. Featured images and templates, yes. Any others? Not sure if it's coming. And then lock blocks. Oops, sorry, got us out of the slideshow. Widget editing yet. Okay, so I think those are some good starting points for us. So what I'm going to do today is definitely keep in mind what you all shared you want to look at, but also share with you what is coming up. And let me also grab my speaker notes real quick. Apologies. Because I have a lot of links to share with you all throughout this process as well. Here we are. Limited layout rights for editors. The block blocking, right? Okay, so then let's get into it. Yes, there are definitely going to be more templates with new blocks. Style variations, 2022 is going to have these style variations where you can switch between different visual formats of it. Various writing improvements, and we're going to deep dive into all of these sections. List view enhancements, block locking, yes, more design and layout tools, more patterns in more places, and block theme workflow improvements. So I'm going to be sharing with you all of the slides as well. Don't feel like you have to like copy paste. This is also information that has been recently shared by another person working heavily in the community, Anne McCarthy, in a Exploring 6.0 videos, which I will also link you all to. She has a lot more visuals and goes a bit more in depth, whereas here we're going to just kind of explore what we're all interested in. So moving a bit along then, and my numbering is a little off. I have 3 slides because there's a lot of stuff here. And this is all going, and Anne McCarthy goes more in depth in her new recent 6.0 video. But in terms of templates, what we're going to be seeing are these new template options. Yes, more query block advancements, which include read more. There's going to be no results showing in the query loop as well. Post author biography block for the query loop. There's a much more expanded author blocks in this update. Avatar block and comments block as well. I was playing especially with the comments block, so maybe no one asked for it, but I think it's really cool to see, and I'll make sure to show that to you all as well. Yes, hello. Okay, I think it was an accidental unmute. But yes, if you have any questions as I'm going along, definitely unmute yourself. Writing improvements definitely include, as someone was hoping for, the selecting text across blocks, having a new link completer shortcut. So any links that you have within your site itself, you'll have a shortcut that will allow you to quickly access those links, which is pretty cool for backtracking across different pages that might have interrelated content. You can also keep your styles during block transformations. If you're going from paragraph to a quote or something, well, maybe not a quote, but you know what I mean. It's going to try to keep your formatting the way it is. There's going to be new styles preview. You'll be able to quickly customize and create new buttons. And that feature is really cool because once you've already set how your button would like to look, it'll essentially carry over every time that you create a new button for your site. So you're not having to continuously recreate the button style that you wanted to begin with. And then, as I believe it's Catherine who pointed out, that featured images and templates. So I do have 2 more slides, but I'm going to first stop here, and because some of the items that folks mentioned are on this, how about we kind of explore a few of these that you all mentioned before moving on. I'm going to take the silence as a thumbs up. Feel free to give me a reaction too. But let me jump into my other screen share with my dev site. Thank you, Meg. Thumbs up. I appreciate it. Before I move on here to this next screen, I'm going to show you what my setup is, so there's no confusion here. I'm using local for my setup, and I'm going to share all the links to what I'm using here. There are more options. Don't worry, I'm going to share those too. I'm not pigeonholing anyone into local, but this is what I use for my own local environment where I want to test stuff that is maybe trunk or experimental or beta, which most of this is right now, on a not live site. I'm also using the 2022 theme, which is the full site editing theme, the Gutenberg plugin, which will also extend the beta block features, and then WordPress 5.9.3, which is recently released. So Meg asks, would I recommend using the Gutenberg plugin for client sites? How likely are things to change and bite us in the butt? That is a very good question. I say with all things that are experimental, you need to always have a testing environment set up. And yeah, just be aware that things might change, right? And something that is constantly being iterated on. You might want to just take the things you like in that plugin and fork it and create your own solutions, because then that would not be changing as much. But if your customer is like, no, we want to be on the cutting edge of WordPress, we want to keep trying things, then I wouldn't necessarily be against it, but you might want to just ensure that you have your testing environment set up so that before you update on your live site, you can test on the staging or dev site and make sure that nothing is going to interrupt your client's site. Yeah, Michael, that's a very good question. So Gutenberg is like I would say like the block editor brainchild plugin, essentially. Before it was introduced to WordPress core, the block editor was Gutenberg, it's like codename Gutenberg. But now we use that plugin to iterate on the block editor without really interfering with what's in core. And slowly but surely, things that are being created and contributed to within Gutenberg are being introduced to WordPress core. So it's right now, it's kind of already included in WordPress core in that there's a lot of Gutenberg, quote unquote, Gutenberg features within the block editor. However, if you want to see more of the beta features, the things that are upcoming, the things that haven't been released yet, adding the plugin just extends the functionality of the block editor in WordPress. Oh, or Carlos, they haven't. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, anytime you're like, hey, I know the answer to that too, please do jump in. And then I just want to also share the alternative items you can use here for your local setup and or a theme. Recently, Wabi was also mentioned in that Exploring 6.0 video that I was mentioning because it has a lot of style variations. So if you're one person that's like, I want to have a variety of designs for my theme, that could be a good one to experiment with in the future. Okay, so I'm going to jump into my site. Feel free to keep your questions coming along as well. And I'll try to be aware of the chat as much as possible, but just kind of going back into the templates, you can see Here I'm on the latest version of my site. And doubling back to what folks wanted to see here that people were interested in. So yes, the typography and query loops. So I just made quickly a post. Make this a little bigger. Earlier, a few posts so that I can have my query loop generate stuff. It just has some ipsum lorem text in there. But going into my page where I was experimenting with this query loop, and I'll just add a new page. We can start fresh here in the back end. Okay, so I'm just going to call this my query loop test page. There are many, many wonderful ways that you can insert a block here. The biggest one being the big blue button in the top left. I personally like the backslash, and it already pulls up the query loop, the backslash functionality, because that just keeps me in the editor experience. But either way, no matter which way I go, I love to still keep this list view open so that I can just see visually on the left, like what blocks I have actually activated on my page. And so when I'm pulling up the query loop, there's patterns you can start blank and create your own, which would be just be building upon the query loops as well. Oh yeah, I agree. The list view is definitely the MVP, Michael. But for this experiment here, I think I'm just going to choose from a pattern, and you can definitely work from a pattern. Like, why fix something that's not broken? If this pattern works for you, just grab it and play around with it instead. It's also a good way to just see what can be done and then fiddle with it instead of feeling like you have to come up with something new. But there are many, and this is growing, right? There are many, many selections here. I'll just choose one kind of randomly and we can play around with it. So it doesn't on the list view expand automatically, but going into there, I can see what I just pulled in. Yeah, so many patterns, right, Sarah? I pulled in this post template, featured image, separator, pagination, all of that. And I don't have any featured images. We can fix that though. And so going into here, we saw that there were new improvements, right? Like the post author biography, the avatar block. As I was playing around with this, I thought it was really interesting to do it this way, because you can kind of see the change. So by this way, I mean, I'm gonna just click here on these 3 vertical buttons, do an insert after. This is like a third way of inserting new blocks as well. And then do my fun backslash and search for the comments one. So this latest comments or the comments query loop, I'm going to go for the comments query loop. And right now it looks a little weird because it's just outside of the loop. But using the list view drag and drop, I can pull it into this post template. And also before I do that, you can see it's like 0 responses to query loop test. Yeah, because this isn't a post that has comments, but this is not a page that has comments, but my posts that I had, I put some comments on there. So if I move this up into my post template, it should, if it goes into my post template, it should, it's thinking. There we go. So now you see 1 response to hello world. It has all of these details, the comments title, the comment template, the page, the comments pagination is probably a bit much, but you can see that within the query loop, it's already pulled in the comments that I have. So I thought that was really cool just to see kind of like turning on the query loop off and on in a way by dragging and dropping a query into there. And another one that was new is that post author as well, which isn't really here right now. And we can insert it into this post template one instead. So insert after, and let's do, and this is not pretty, I admit. This is all for experiment, so it's not going to be pretty right now. My apologies for anyone that's like, oh, this is visually not making me happy. I agree with you. But let's play with that author one. So the author post author biography is one that is pretty new to 6.0. And here we go. This is what happens when you click around. And so ideally, if you have a author biography set, it will then display that as well. And there are other author templates that you can now just thrust in here and make your post page more dynamic. Probably not as cluttered as this test is, but these are the new options that are available to you. Let me just scroll back up and see if there are any. Meg, since you were talking about improvements to the, have I started using the quick keys? I personally have not yet. I'm not trying to be a fuddy-duddy, but I've just been like, my backslash is great. But no, I think the quick keys are probably really helpful. I can find a link to that as well if you're a heavy like quick key user. Yeah, I think I'm maybe a little over reliant on the list view because I'm just like, oh, I need to see that. But I'm sure if you're like a list keyboard power user, just using those quick keys is going to make your editorial flow much faster. Okay, so those are just a few interesting things that have been added to the query loop. There are many, many more features, but I do want to make sure we have enough time to explore other things. Meg, I know you mentioned the query loop. Were there any other things that you were kind of curious about before we move on? And not to put you on the spot, but I know you were excited about it. The custom fields, yes, I feel like that could almost be its own social learning space, to be honest. So I might have to put a pin on that one. But let me note that down, because that just makes it another opportunity for us to explore that further together. So Jean has the question, for displaying posts, is there a way to not show after a certain date? Remove date. So if I'm reading this correctly, you are wondering if you can put like a cutoff date for the posts that display here? That is a good question. So I just clicked on the post date block. Oops. Here, and oops, sorry, too many windows. And right now, I don't think within this panel there is a cutoff for this. If someone else knows, I'm happy to be schooled. But just basic looking at this panel right now, I don't believe so. Part of the primary query. Yeah, let me take note of this. That would be really interesting to explore. You know, maybe you want to have like a collection of posts that are, you know, only from year 2020 or a quarter. Okay. So moving a little along here, I just want to go back up, make sure the things that we went through. Template parts. That's one. Lock. Okay. So switching back. Okay, so you'll see my numbering is completely wrong. I apologize for that. But the other features that are coming to 6.0 at the moment, and this isn't something I'm really going to share today, but the all theme files included on export, all edits included in export, which is pretty great for, I think, people who are building sites for others, moving sites, right, which is always a pain. Maybe you're trying to set up another environment. Enhanced exports is just really going to be helpful for making sure that your content and theme looks the same. There's going to be a support for patterns folder. You can register patterns from the directory with theme JSON. So I know we had someone that was a theme JSON power user. I hope you're excited about that. But then also register or post content patterns for inclusion and new flow. And this is all just hopefully going to make not just like agency people's lives better, but anyone who's developing a theme and maybe a child theme that wants to be able to export and maintain certain things along the way. And then we also have some increased patterns coming, pattern selection upon new page creation, which we can actually look at, and then pattern directory open for submission. So if you are a creator of patterns, oops, sorry, Erica.
Destiny?
Yes.
Perhaps you can explain what the export a theme is, because that's not usually what people just editing a theme would do.
Yeah, you're very, very correct here. I wonder if I can play around with that. Let me just click here. Sorry, when I say click here, I'm going back into my dev site to see what that can look like real quick. Of course, it's loading so very slowly. Oh. Well, here, let me at least take you all along with me on this ride and reshare to my development site here. So I'm just exiting, just very slowly trying to exit out of this page we were just playing with. No, maybe my site went a little kaput. Let's see here. Well, while those, spinning wheels of doom are going, let me just check up on the chat, make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions here. I just want to share for the record that Meg noted that if you're comfortable with writing queries in code, you can create a template that sets the global query and click the inherit query toggle to use handwritten query with a shrug, which makes that really great. And Michael shared that there may be plugins that can unpublish old posts. So that might be a way to help with dispensing of page or hiding pages that you don't want folks to see anymore, pages or posts. Okay. Oh. All right, we're back. Thank goodness. That was very strange. That's telling me to leave. No, we just got back. Okay, here, we're back. So let's see if we're going into the dashboard, tools and export, at least in my mind, this is what that would mean. So
If you go to the full site editor,
yeah,
there is an export option there as well.
So we're going here, right?
Right.
This is awesome. Yeah, thank you for asking to break this down, Carlos.
Sorry, didn't mean to take over.
No, this is our space. You're not taking over. Okay, so yeah, let's explore what that means,
And
the
then,
export functionality. Yep,
and then click on the three buttons on the far, on
okay,
the top right.
here we are.
And then under tools, the first item is export.
Yeah, download your themes with updated templates and styles.
And that will edit,
Snaps.
and that will save a local copy of all the changes that you made to the templates and the template parts, and let you share that without having to edit it. Every person getting the theme to make the same edits.
That is pretty awesome. So this is what I love about these new tools, right? Because you can basically become your own theme editor now, right? With this visual editing experience. And so this can essentially, once you put everything together the way you like it, you download it and you can share your theme with others. It's taking it out of, needing to be super technical, and allowing more people to create themes in WordPress space. Is there anything else that folks want to explore and that I just noted in the slides? The export function was really, really awesome. I learned something new. So I'm going to switch back over. Yeah, I wouldn't have known. Oh, God, Maestro. Mikia, nice. Okay, well then we can always come back to something, or if anyone's like, hey, I just want to experiment with this, we can do that too. But the last bit of items I wanted to share, make buttons with images. Me too. You can make your own pattern, actually. So we can explore that. So yes, I do want to leave. The third time's the charm. And I'm just going to create a new page. And Dean, is there a type of pattern you want to explore, or just shall I put a couple things together and we can just see how that shapes up? Image and text. Okay. So then I'm going to call this my author bio, because I feel like image and text, that's usually what people think about. Well, okay, that's what I think about. I shouldn't speak for other people. And so there are many ways to get to that. We can do the backslash, which I enjoy. And I can do media and text, or 2 columns. Oh, thank you. Let me reshare. This is the problem with having to share 2 things. Here we are. So I just essentially went to a new page and opened up the list view at this stage. So I know we can use the media and text block in order to get an image and text, but I don't know if y'all saw me before in another SLS, but I love doing the columns to do this. So I did a 50-50 column and then adding an image here. I think I have something in my media library. Yeah, how about this little cartoon of me? Cartoon Destiny. And why do I prefer this to media? And yes, Nick Diego, awesome. Yeah. Why do I prefer this to the media and text? Because you can play with the image more. You get to do a bit more than what the media and text option gives you. So once you do this, I think I love playing with the radius as well, which usually does something, but maybe I messed up here. Or maybe it can't see it edging out actually, because I did rounded. There we go. So that was me. Yeah, so now you can see the radius functioning. I had rounded it before, which is interesting to know that if you round it and then try to play with the radius, it doesn't do much. But anywho, let's also add some text, right? So Destiny is here with some great folks talking about 6.0. Okay, so I've essentially just created 2-column. My pattern is this 2-column with an image and a text area. And maybe someone mentioned buttons earlier, so I'm going to backslash buttons. And let's just add a button here because why not? And then we can see the cool typography type things and styling we can do there. Contact me. The options, fill or outline. I actually really dig this color, which is the default color that they gave me. So I'm going to do that. And then I usually prefer my buttons to be centered. So I am going to just play with this alignment here. Okay, so now we've got a pattern that we're creating that has columns, a image block, a paragraph block, and now a button. And so I think there's many ways to then create a pattern here. So easiest way to grab it all, I think, is in the list view, because it just auto selected everything in this column. And then one way that you can kind of use this consistently is to add your reusable blocks. So this is now my bio contact pattern. And now that is set. And so if I want to use this again, you can see it says be usable. Oh, not a fan, Maestro. You should tell me more. No, we want to improve this because look, I just quickly brought my little pattern up again. Okay. Well, this is one way you can do it. It doesn't have to be the way. Maybe, I don't know, Maestro, if one of the sticking points for you, and I can kind of get where that comes from, is like, if you want to, you don't want to edit, if you edit this somewhere, it's going to edit it everywhere else, which I think is the rule of thumb for a lot of these. And so if you're like, no, I just want to use this, and then I want to edit this, but I don't want to mess up my whole pattern, you will have to convert it to regular blocks and then add more stuff so that it doesn't affect your original. Yep. You're like, yeah. So this is one way to kind of create a reusable pattern. Here. I'm going to just save this as a draft and then get out global blocks. Yeah. So Michael is saying the naming should be changed to something like global blocks to make it clear what those do. Reusable just sounds like a starting pattern that you can edit individually. Yeah. So let me exit out of here. It can be misleading. And let's go to this editor. So I think this is why it's a little interesting too, because when I think about creating a pattern, I kind of leaned on the reusable blocks, but I think the biggest difference is that the pattern is supposed to be more theme specific, and if anyone has a better answer to that, I would love for folks to chime in. And it's something that you should be able to save to your theme as well. I wonder, Sarah, have you dived into that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
no, not yet. This is brand new for me too.
yeah, okay, no worries. Then I think that's, unless someone's like, oh, I know about this, I want to share. That is my homework. And I'm happy to put on another event where we just explore patterns, maybe what's in the pattern directory, how you can maybe submit your own pattern there, because that's definitely something that people would want to utilize. I think you might be right, Eliza, because I know that we have template parts. Yeah, Michael, please. Michael's going to share a bit more.
Oh yeah, just very quickly on the patterns. What you can build them inside the block editor, and then you take a copy of that code out and save it to a directory within your theme, and you reference that directory through the theme.json, and then that will add the pattern to the pattern library interface that you have in the builder. Does that make sense? But essentially it's separate from the work you're performing in the block editor. You don't save a pattern directly within the WP admin. It's a static file that gets added to your theme directory.
Thank you, Michael. That is just what I needed to know.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the time, Destiny.
No, thank you. Because I was like, oh, I was confused. Sometimes we need an extra hand here. And so to just kind of round out what you're saying, Michael, so if you were to create your own pattern, it would show up in this space.
Yes, yeah, that's right where it would be.
And by this space, I'm just in a page and I open the block inserter, and I've selected the patterns section. Okay. So let me see here. There were other things people wanted to explore today, and I think we've been a little chatty, so I just want to make sure I didn't skip over anyone. Oh, the locked blocks. That one was really cool. I think we should look at that. Maybe let me go into one of my posts. Yes, I'm gonna leave. I know it hasn't been saved. Okay, this one has a lot of text, so I'm going to go into my little test post here. And I believe there are two ways we can do this here. One being, and by do this, I mean lock the block. One being here in the list view itself, you'll see the lock button. Well, lock functionality. You can choose to lock all, lock one. Maybe after you've created your reusable block, you lock it, and then no one can convert it to another block or mess with it. But it'll prevent your disable movement and also prevent removal. So I'm going to apply it to this first block here, and so that means that. Yeah, so I'm trying now, it shouldn't be able to move, right? So I'm trying to drag it here. And since I disabled that functionality, it's not letting me move this block at all. And you'll see as well here, the little lock feature is there. And we're now not able, there's usually those little up and down arrows, right? In this top header, those are gone now because I should not be able to move this block at all. So if I just want to have the prevent removal, but movement is okay, Now the little arrows come back. I can drag and drop this somewhere else. But if I try to delete it, there's no option to do that. Whereas if I go to this one above, there's a remove paragraph. So this is pretty good for maybe, teams who are co-authoring and you're like, don't move or delete my stuff. I'm pretty sure in the future you'll be able to like lock down that kind of access as well based on role. So that, if an admin or an editor says like, no, this has to stay, then someone else who's editing, they can't just remove it or toggle this on and off. What benefit does creating a pattern give compared to creating a reusable block? Oh, I think I clicked on it. Sarah just shared a link to a workshop that helps you distinguish between reusable blocks, patterns, templates, and templates parts. I think I will probably look at that after as well. And I'll share that link in the meetup after as well. Adding a lock to this, will they be adding a lock to this sweep function? So Eliza, I want to make sure it's already there in 6.0. Okay, it looks like that was answered. Yes. Okay. Cool. All right, so we have about 10 more minutes left. Are there any, and I know that, so obviously there are many, many, many features in 6.0 that are coming. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to share a link to, well, actually I can share this now. I want to share a link to this video from Anne McCarthy where she goes through and breaks down a lot of these features as well visually, as well as having the notes. Because I think just exploring that before it comes out, you'll be even more excited about what's to come. And then if you want, you can share in the meetup as well. Hey, I wish, we could have gone over this. I think we already have, custom fields, cutoff dates, and patterns to explore. But if there is something else where you're like, hey, I want to go more in depth, we can always create another social learning space for that. So here's the Exploring 6.0 video. And it just came out. It's hot off the press. A lot of the points that I shared here are in that video, if not verbatim. But she and just goes into more detail, has the visual references along the way that I think will really help you all. Let's see. Looks like we're still talking about the lock feature. As I understand it, the lock won't lock the child elements. You have to lock the children manually. We can test that. I think so. So let me group this. So I've just highlighted these. I'm gonna click. Oh, what is? Oh. Okay. But I'm gonna group that. And then I'm seeing on my first paragraph a lock button.
Lock at the group and
Let's
then
lock the
try
group.
moving or removing the paragraphs inside.
I can still remove the paragraph, it says. That is no bueno. No good. But good to know.
So
there might actually be an issue for that, if not.
So you would have to lock the paragraphs manually to get the same effect.
Yeah. It seems so. So if I move the group, which I can't. So in that way, it is protecting it. However, yes, you can still mess with the child blocks. It's very interesting. So Michael says, though, that that's actually the locking feature that you want. So you can lock a layout, but let the inner content be editable, changeable. But can't I just move this paragraph up? I don't think that's what we want, right? But ideally, this would stay in here, but we don't have to lock every paragraph per se. Very interesting. But more to come. So I just want to backtrack. If you want to keep playing with these features, which I totally think you should, you'll want to get your testing site set up, have WordPress 5.9.3 installed, and also the latest version of Gutenberg 2. I believe I shared those links at the beginning. I'll be sharing the video transcript and everything as well for this chat. A few parting things I did want to share with you all today. Also, thank you all for coming. It's been great exploring with you, and I appreciated folks chiming in as well, Carlos and Michael, to share their knowledge as well. So as this was a BlackPress cross-posted social learning space, I just wanted to share a little bit about BlackPress. It's a community and space for WordPressers of Black African descent and allies to join so that we can connect, knowledge share, and support each other. We have our own website where a lot of these links are. We also have meetup group, Slack, follow us on Twitter, all the socials. And we want to take this exploration of 6.0 another step when the launch on, I believe, May 24th occurs, and have a launch party where we're all just, in a Zoom, we're testing out the new features, we're celebrating. So if any of y'all enjoyed, how we played around with 6.0 a bit today, or the features coming up in 6.0 today, I hope you'll join us and we'll have a lot more fun doing a little testing the day of launch. Here's some other ways you can find me. I'm on the Make Slack at Destiny, POPOFox.org, the Destiny WP on Twitter. I have this little test site that I have that I should pay more attention to, but that's how it goes. But don't be a stranger. And I'm going to share with you all some links. Yeah, thank you all. And then if you want to connect with me, and I'm also sharing some SLS. There's more SLSs coming, so be excited. You can find more about that in the calendar. Thank you for coming, everyone.